Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm back because it's Wednesday, baby, and I'm in the middle of, I think this is video four? I think this is video four in the series, which means let me actually figure out how many we have left in case you guys care. Um, yeah, video, no, I lied. This is only video three. Oh, that can't be true. Anyway, we have two videos left after this one, so regardless of how many we're at, yeah, we've got two more to go. And today I'm actually talking about something that I'm pretty obsessed with, and it's how to actually stop procrastinating. Some of my key tools to use to make sure that you're actually getting all of the things that are on your to-do list done, because I know that that's one of the biggest problems that people have. They have all these awesome ideas of the things that they want to accomplish, but then it gets to the end of the week or to the end of the month and they're like, wait, what has even happened? I have not been paying attention. Where has time gone? I don't even know what I've accomplished this week. And I'm here to like make sure that that's not happening anymore. All right, this video is shared everywhere. So if you are joining me live, let me know that you're here and say hey so I can see who's here. And if you're catching the replay, leave me a little hashtag replay so that I know who's keeping up with the series, and we can stay in touch and all that, because I love knowing who's watching and I can start to gear the conversation towards your business, because that's what's exciting for me. All right, so today we're talking about the key to stop procrastinating and accomplish everything on your list. I'm also going to be talking to you about how to be overwhelmed, because I know I hear this a lot from entrepreneurs, that they're just overwhelmed with all the things that they have to do or that they want to do. And also, most importantly, we're going to be talking about how to use your to-do list to actually do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, so that all you have to do is literally follow the list. So I'm going to be walking you through a few really important phases. And you can take notes if you want, or you can download I have a freebie called the To-Do List Detox, and I'll leave a link to that somewhere in case you want to check that out when we talk about a lot of the same ththings. So the reason that it's so important to focus on your to-do list when you're trying to beat procrastination is because a lot of times what happens when, we're like, the reason that we're procrastinating a lot of times is because we actually have too much on our to-do list. And I know that this is like probably a really common, no, I know that it's a really common thing, but it might be really familiar to you. You might be like, preach, I always have way too much on my to-do list. And what actually ends up happening, because there's literally, I love pretty much nothing more than crossing things off my to-do list. And I know you guys do too. And so what ends up happening is we see that giant long to-do list and our brain instantly starts looking for all of the little things that we can cross off. So any, 10-minute tasks, 20-minute tasks, we're looking for those so that we can start getting things off our to-do list. A lot of people call these mosquito tasks. They're just like small little tasks that actually in the end don't add up to anything of real significance. And so by the end of the day, that really important thing that was on your to-do list, you never actually got around to, even though you felt like you were super busy. You never actually did the really important thing that needed to happen. And that leaves you at the end of the week actually feeling like you procrastinated towards getting those really important things done. So it's awesome if you start to use your to-do list in a really efficient way so that it does the heavy lifting for you. And I'm going to show you how to, like I said, detox your to-do list so that you don't have a million things on there. I always say that people's to-do lists a lot of times look longer than the 8 a.m. line at Starbucks. And the thing about that 8 a.m. lineup at Starbucks is that if you've ever been in it, you know the feeling of being in it. There's dread. Everybody's in a bad mood. Like, it doesn't feel good. It's stressful. It's overwhelming. And I don't want you to wake up every day and look at your to-do list and have that like 8 a.m. Starbucks dread. So we're going to do a few things. The very first thing that we're going to accomplish is we're going to start working on what your big goal is. This is like pretty essential. This is something that, I really strongly believe in, and it's kind of the cornerstone of everything that I do in my business and how I break down all big projects in my business. So any projects that I have, anything I'm doing that quarter, anything I'm doing that year, I make sure that I'm breaking it down by what my big goal is. So the first step that you want to do is start figuring out what's actually important on my to-do list and what is actually just frivolous and not moving me closer to my big goal. So what I'll do is I'll figure out, okay, usually within a year, there's like 2 or 3 big goals, or maybe 2 or 3 specific ways that you're like trying to feel that year. Maybe you want to feel more influential that year. Maybe you want to feel more connected that year. Maybe you want to feel more organized that year. You want to make sure that you're really clear on how you want to feel that year, or what your big goal is. So if your big goal is to like make 6 figures, or if your big goal is to sell, 10 of your VIP masterminds, I want you to know that big goal for the year. And then I want you to actually write that on the top of your to-do list every damn day. So every single day, the cornerstone of my to-do list is what I want to accomplish that year, that quarter, that month. So I'm always looking at something I put on my to-do list, because I'm always coming up with ideas. And I know that if you guys are anything like my clients or people who are, usually in my community, you guys are like idea machines. So you're coming up with like all these incredible things that you could be doing, or you saw someone else doing and you kind of want to look into, or you want to research more. And a lot of times I have to be really strict with myself and be like, listen, right now, looking into, Libsyn or like that new technology for starting a podcast, it's actually not something that's getting you closer to your big goal, which is to sell 10 of your VIP masterminds. So you know what? That needs to leave your to-do list. I don't even want you to look at it, because it's not something that's important in moving you closer to your big goal, because that's what's important. We always want to be getting closer to that big goal, right? Like, it seems very simple, but it's really easy to kind of like get lost and distracted along the way, because, we've got like big daily goals and all of that, but every single, goal for the day should lead up to the goal for the week, and the goal for the week should lead up to the goal for the month, and the goal for the month should lead up to the goal for the quarter, and your quarter goal should actually, build you towards your big yearly goal. So I have my yearly goal top of the to-do list, and I want you to do the same. I like to literally just have one big goal, but sometimes, you could have 2 or 3 big goals, or you could have your goal plus how you're trying to feel that year, and that kind of guides you on what should be on your to-do list and what needs to just hit the road, because like we just can't have everything on there. Speaking of not having everything on there, the next most important step is actually to separate your to-do lists. And I actually just had a question about this last week in my Facebook group. Somebody was asking me like, how do you differentiate, or how do you like create those boundaries between your life and your work, especially when you work from home? Because here's the thing, if you are like if you're a mom and you have to pick up your kids from school at 3, that's equally as important as anything else that's on your to-do list. Or if you have guests coming over and you've got to like, change the bed sheets before they get there, that's actually just as important probably to you as, finishing that email that you have to send out, because both need to be done that day. However, it's super important to separate your to-do lists so that you don't have it all lumped into one big to-do list and you're like bouncing around throughout the day between trying to get through the stuff that you need to do for work and also get through the stuff that you need to do for your house. So I have a few important to-do lists. One of them is, like I said, my home to-do list. So I add things to it that come up, or like that I want to get done that day, or maybe I have bigger goals, like before the end of the year I want to reorganize that closet or whatever it is. And then I have my, then I start from the top, and the next to-do list that I have, and you can change these based on like what works for your life, but these are the ones that I really recommend and I've seen work well in other people's businesses. So the first one is to have a big goals list. So this is, like I mentioned, your goals for the year and the quarter and all of that. This is where you can put all of your big goals. Then I have a project to-do list. So let's say in January I'm working on launching a podcast. I don't want to have all of that stuff that needs to happen before I launch a podcast on my to-do list, because that's going to drive me crazy. But I also don't want to have on my regular day-to-day to-do list, launch a podcast, because let's be honest, you cannot do that in one day, right? Like you just can't. It's overwhelming, and you're just going to keep moving it to the next day, to the next day, and the next day. So you have a to-do list just for launching a podcast. That's your current project, and you have everything that needs to happen to launch a podcast on that project to-do list. Then you have your work to-do list. So this is what's happening today during work hours while I'm working, and I just have my important work things on that to-do list. And this is where I also start pulling in from that project to-do list. So I start thinking, okay, on that project to-do list, what needs to happen today? What needs to happen most, urgently? And I take things from the project to-do list and put it on that day's work to-do list. So it's super important to actually break those up into a few more manageable chunks and a few more manageable to-do lists. So I would love to see you guys try incorporating 4 to-do lists if that's something that's going to work for you, or base them on what's going to work for your life. Maybe you need a home, you need like a full-time job to-do list, and then you need your like side hustle to-do list. Keep in mind that like it actually can give you a lot more headspace to separate them entirely into a few different lists. And then have those boundaries in your calendar. So like during this time, I'm working on work stuff. During this time, I'm doing life things. So like if I have guests coming over at 5 p.m., then maybe the hour before, I'm going to actually create that boundary in my calendar to actually work on life stuff. And so that I'm not, tempted to do it at lunchtime, in between client calls or something like that. So make sure that that's in your calendar as well. And then the third thing that we're going to do is kind of the hardest. This is the thing that I get a lot of pushback on, and people hate when I say this because you guys always have so much going on, but this one is really, really important, and it's to actually shorten that to-do list. Here's the thing, we never actually can accomplish as many things as we think we can in a day. And like, that's a hard truth for me to even admit, because sometimes my to-do lists are starting to get really long as well. And so what I have to actually do is remind myself that the longer my to-do list is, the further I actually am away from getting to my big goal. So if I can condense that to-do list and really bring it down to just 3 critical tasks for that day, these are the 3 things that I need to do that day and are going to push me closer to that big goal. It's going to stop me from doing what I mentioned in the beginning, which is looking for those small tasks to shorten my to-do list immediately, so that I start to feel like there's a bit of weight lifted off my shoulders and I start to feel like I have a little bit more space. So what I want to do is I want to have 3 really critical things on the top of my to-do list. And then what the beauty of this is that actually if I get through those 3 things, first of all, you have this like incredible sense of accomplishment because you've completed the most important things on your to-do list, but then you can start moving on to the other things. So you can go back to your project list. You can reassess. If you get everything done before noon, you can take half a day off, or you could go back to, your to-do list, or your project to-do list, and bring a few more of those things. What are the next most important things, and bring those onto your to-do list for the day too. But you've gotten the 3 most critical things done that lead you towards getting that big goal done. So I know that this is like a scary thing to do, but I want you to try it. Get those really critical things at the top of your to-do list, so you know these are the 3 things that I need to get done today. And the next thing is actually kind of a solution, because I hear a lot of times, well, how the heck am I going to do that? Because I just have more than 3 things that I need to get done every single day. And number 4 is kind of a mixture of 2, and it's delegate and automate. These things just need to happen, because once you see that you've only got spots for 3 things on your to-do list, you're going to start to think like, all right, well, I can't be checking in on social media every day. I can't be responding to all of these emails myself. You're going to start to notice that you really only have limited precious space on that to-do list. So you're going to have to start looking for some really creative ways to automate as much as possible, or delegate the things that you can't automate. And delegation doesn't have to be this big, scary thing. You don't have to hire a full-time employee. You don't have to, bring somebody on long-term. You can, hire anyone just for a short period of time to start taking small things off your to-do list. Start looking at the things that really don't require you to be, in your zone of genius, or you to actually show up and do it yourself, and think, how can I get someone else to help me with this, especially if it's something that you don't enjoy doing. I think you need to start delegating ASAP, and I think you'll start to get addicted to it. So even if you have somebody working with you for like 1 hour a week in the beginning, that's all you can afford, or that's all you're like ready to delegate because you're still like holding on for dear life, that's fine. And just hire them for 1 hour a week. But I know that like the more time that goes by, so to be like, you know what, I actually think she could do this too, or I actually think they could do that too, whoever it is that you have on your team. But it's really important to start thinking about, okay, if I only have 3 spots available, what am I going to automate? What am I going to delegate? And what am I going to put as my like critical task? Then the very last thing that we're going to do is actually the most important thing, and I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about it before because it's literally that important, and that is to put a deadline on everything on your to-do list. Every single thing needs a deadline, because making lists is super important. But if you want to actually be getting things done and get to the end of the week and have that satisfaction, like I mentioned, of you know, feeling like, yes, I've accomplished everything that I needed to do this week that leads me to my big goal. And so I'm feeling like I have that sense of momentum, because that momentum is what entrepreneurs live for. That's that feeling of excitement, and that's the thing that keeps us motivated. So if you want to feel that momentum, you need to put deadlines on your tasks, and you need to stick to those deadlines. And so here's all you have to do. Step one, figure out, when do I want this completed by? It's pretty simple. It could be like, I need this by 1 o'clock today. It could be, I need this by Friday. Then the next thing you're going to do is just estimate, hey, how long do I think this thing is going to take me? Is it going to take me an hour? Is it going to take me 3 hours? Whatever. Put an estimate, give yourself a bunch of like, you know, buffer space, because I find, especially with creatives, we're always like, oh yeah, I can get that done in 10 minutes. And then an hour goes by and you're suddenly like, oh my God, I'm so behind, because, you know, I thought that would take me 10 minutes and now I'm behind on everything else that's in my calendar for the day. So just give yourself lots of buffer time. So again, you keep feeling that momentum. And then the third thing that you do is you set a timer. And this is one of my favorites, and this is kind of like a bonus tip, and that's to use what's called the Pomodoro timer. And once I discovered this, like honestly, it was pretty game changing for me, because it just makes me like do my work in such a passionate way. Not only am I getting things done quicker, but I'm doing them like with more focus. So it makes my stuff, you know, even more exciting. Hey, I'm just seeing that a bunch of people are here. Simone, hey. Hey, Elena. Oh my God, so glad you guys are here. Yeah, so this is the Pomodoro. And if you haven't used this before, like I highly, highly, highly suggest you try it. It seems really simple, but it's something that's like seriously game changing. So all you do is you set a timer for 25 minutes. That's it. Set a stopwatch. You can use like apps and all of this, or you can literally just set a timer. You close all of your tabs except for the thing that you need to be focusing on right then and there. Close everything. Turn off your phone if you're not using the timer on it. Like, close your notebooks, literally everything, so there's no distractions. Tell your like roommate not to talk to you or whatever. Then all you do is for 25 minutes, you just focus on that one task. That's literally it. So during that time, what you'll notice is that when the timer is ticking, you realize how much you can get done in 25 minutes, but also you're so focused on that that one thing. You're not like, oh, let me just check my emails real quick. Oh, you know, I just got a Facebook notification. That you're actually going to do the work better. You're actually going to show up more fully for it. You're going to be more present while you do it, and you're going to put out better work. So I actually find that the Pomodoro is the best technique for hitting my deadlines, getting everything done on my to-do list, and actually allowing myself to stay focused towards that big goal. So if I want to get everything that I want in 2019, I need to be very, very diligent with my time, and I need my to-do list to be like my main driver and the thing that's pushing me towards getting those things that I want, and not distracting me and not adding things to my plate that are actually just moving me further away from that goal. So researching that new, you know, Squarespace site and doing all of those things, that's not going to get you closer to your big goal. So I want you to only have really, really, really focused things on your to-do list. And the best way to do that is by focusing on your big goal, making sure that you, you know, separate your to-do lists, and also you're putting deadlines on just the 3 most critical tasks on that to-do list. Those are the really, really, really key factors to using your to-do list to actually get you closer to your goal. And what you'll notice is when you're using the Pomodoros and when your to-do list only has 2 or 3 things on it, you'll notice that you actually procrastinate so much less, because you can see everything that you have to do. You're not overwhelmed with all the things that you should be doing. You literally have like a very clear game plan, and you know when it has to be done. So you'll notice that you stop procrastinating almost instantly when you start implementing these things. And so I want to know if you guys are trying the Pomodoro timer. I'm like obsessed with it. As soon as I found that a few years ago, it's been something that I use almost every day. And I would love to know if you guys have tried it before, and if not, then definitely try it this week, because I think you'll notice a huge difference. But also, I'd love to know what your big goal is for 2019, and what, you know, how many things are actually on your to-do list right now, and what you're willing to do in order to bring it down to just those 3 things. So Simone And Elena, I definitely want to know what your big goal is for 2019, and everyone who's watching the replay as well. I want you to have a little comment below and tell me what your big goal is for 2019 so that we can make sure that you are getting it. You forgot about that one. I wonder which one you meant. All right, guys, so that is this week's video. I'm going to be coming back next week. Let's see what I'm talking about next week because I almost forgot. Oh, so next week, which is really exciting because I'll be here like right after the holidays, but I'm actually going to be checking in with you on which numbers you need to be tracking every single day in your business. And this is something that I really strongly believe in, so I'm excited to talk about it. So if you need to know what numbers you should be tracking in order to get you closer to those goals and get everything you want in 2019, then I'll meet you here next Wednesday. See you guys.